Hi everyone, I'm Brooke and I'm here with Mara.
Hey.
And we're going to do an acrylic paint pour today. So have you ever done an acrylic paint pour?
I've done it on an ornament before, but not on canvas.
Okay, sounds kind of new. Alright, so first we're going to mix some of our paint. So if you want to grab one of your cups, and then we can do your gray and black, or your darker one. So you wanted this to be kind of a darker gray?
Yeah.
Alright, so put about that much in your cup. A little bit more. That's probably good. And then we can see how it looks when we mix it. Alright, so just put a little bit like that in. And then we can always add more. Close the cap if you need to, and you can tap it down.
Alright.
Do you need help?
I got it.
Okay, so then just mix it before we add the other stuff, just to see if it's the color you like. So this is the color I got. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I want mine darker.
Okay, so grab the black and you can hand it to me. I can tap it to get some more. There you go. Is that more along the lines of what you wanted?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're mixing Floetrol in with the paint. It's a paint conditioner, and it makes it flow better, especially because these are heavy body acrylics. I'm just doing about 1/3 of this cup. Do you want me to add some in for yours? Do you need to add more black?
I don't know.
Okay, well we can
Just play it by ear.
Yeah. There you go. So go ahead and just mix that really thoroughly. And make sure there's no chunks of the paint still. This is probably the most tedious part of it, but it's kind of necessary.
Is it gonna show up this light on canvas?
No, so the Floetrol it dries clear, so it will be the original color. That's why we mixed it ahead of time, so we could kind of see what it would really look like. But for right now, the Floetrol is like a milky white color, so it kind of changes the way it looks now. Okay, so it's kind of a little bit too thick, so we're gonna add a little bit of water. And you can do it as a thick pour. Actually, you have a little bit more Floetrol than I do. Maybe I should add some more to mine. You can do it a little bit thicker, but you need more of it because it doesn't move as well. Okay, so if you want to just add a tiny bit of water, just like a couple drops. Yeah, that's good. Try stirring it in, and then we'll check the consistency. And there's a lot of ways you can do it. You can add a lot of water and make it really thin.
It did a lot more than I thought it would.
Yeah, that's why you just go a tiny bit at a time. So you want it to kind of come off in a constant stream for a little bit when you first pick it up. That's looking pretty good. I'm going to probably add a little bit more to mine. I don't think I did enough.
I think I'm doing. I don't know.
That's pretty good. I would add a little bit more. How's it looking on yours? You might want a little bit more water. It's hard to tell when you first add it, and you kind of have to mix it in and see how it flows out. And is this one going to be your base, or are you doing a lighter gray as your base?
Lighter gray.
Okay.
I'm going to do
Is
a
it-
gray that's closer to white.
Okay. Because the base can be a little thicker. I mean, really, there's not a specific hard and fast rule, but I tend to like having the base be a little bit thicker than the other colors.
It doesn't fall off right away.
A little bit more and just see. Oops, I just splashed about half of my water out before it mixed in. So I might need some more. That's our cat. All right, so
This is really good.
yeah, that one looks really nice, and I think mine's almost ready. Yeah, yours looks really good. All right, so we're gonna set this one aside and mix the rest of our colors. We're going to stop the video because I'm sure you don't want to see us mix 5 colors all on camera. So we'll be right back.
And we're back.
Yeah, so we've mixed all our colors. And so Mara, you want to tell everyone which colors we used?
Sure.
So do you want to start here or here?
I'm going to start with the purple. This is Americana's Dioxazine purple.
Mm-hmm. And we'll have all the colors in the description below too.
Yeah. For the darker gray, I used Basics Mars Black and Basics Neutral Gray Value 5.
And we did a little bit more gray than black, right?
Yeah. And then the gray is just the neutral gray. And then the lighter gray is Artist Loft Titanium White mixed with the Basics Neutral Gray. And then this one, it looks like...
And we also did a little drop of the
black.
Mars Black
Yeah.
as well.
And then
this one
that looks like white is actually Folk Art Disco Crystal Sparkles.
So that's going to dry completely clear because the Floetrol will be clear and the sparkles are already in a clear solution. And we added some water to each of them and kind of stirred them to a consistency where it flows off of the popsicle stick pretty nicely. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is add a little bit of silicone to each of the colors. And this silicone that I have is just an auto heavy duty silicone. You can use a lot of different kinds, and probably in other videos we'll try using different kinds, but this one works well and I really like this one. So I'll show you adding a couple in mine.
What does this do?
So this will create cells. So when you pour the paint will separate and you'll see other colors underneath it. So if you don't want as many cells, you don't have to add silicone. So that's kind of a choice you can make.
Can I do less silicone
Yeah.
than you?
Yeah, it kind of comes out a little bit fast because the dropper is broken, so just kind of try to hold it over. So I just did probably, with the amount that was coming out, it was probably about 4 or 5 drops.
Okay, I'm just going to do 2 in each.
Okay. All right, so then I'm just going to clean out the dropper. So you can go ahead and gently mix each of them. You're just going to want to do like 3 turns around the cup just to get it through there. The more you mix, the smaller the cells will get. So that's obviously an option if you want. And it's not always a hard and fast rule there either, because sometimes I've mixed them a lot and you still can get bigger cells. So it's not an exact science. And I prefer to mix it enough to get it through as opposed to err on the side of mix not enough.
What happens if you don't mix enough?
I just notice it kind of sits on top and doesn't get through to all the paint, so sometimes you might not get cells in certain areas.
Oh.
But that can be different too. Okay, so now we need a cup. I think I gave you one over there. So this will be what we put the paint into, and then we'll flip it or pour. So if you flip it, you'll fill your cup, put it on here, turn it over, and then pull it up. And then otherwise you can pour the paint in and just pour like this or like this. It's kind of up to you what you would like to try.
I think I'm gonna do a flip cup.
Okay. So I would start with some of your base, which you wanted to use the light gray as the base. So, and actually I forgot, you can actually choose not to put any silicone in your base. It's probably not going to make it bad, but a lot of times I don't put the silicone in that one, but it's not going to do anything negative.
How much do I put?
You can really do however much you want. Sometimes people will just pour all of one color, then all of another. I like to layer it and go back and forth. It's just kind of trying different things. Now if you put the purple right next to the darkest gray, it could get a little bit muddied, but okay. These are probably thick enough that it won't be too bad. And you can just kind of do it in whatever order you want. And you might even see some reactions in the cup before we've even poured it. Also,
from the silicone?
Yep. Also, the higher you pour from, the more cells you could get because it pushes air into the paint, and then those air bubbles will come up later. So if you hold it really high like this. And look, I'm getting a reaction right there.
Can you put more of the base like on top? Or is that...
Yep. And I'm thinking we probably have too much paint, but you don't have to use it all, and also we'll pour some off. And if you want it to be on the darker side, you can use a little less of the lighter colors and more of the darker ones, or vice versa.
Is this gonna be enough paint, or should I do more?
You might want to do a little bit more, but it's probably close to enough. I haven't actually used this size cup for a pour, so I haven't been able to estimate how much it needs. I think we're probably going to have plenty in here though. I like this purple a lot that you chose. So what kinds of art do you like doing?
I like calligraphy stuff, but I'm not very good at it.
Well, you don't have to be great at it.
And then I do art journaling sometimes.
Cool. Do you like using paint for art journaling or collage or?
I usually do paint with the credit card.
Very cool.
Okay, do you think this is enough?
Yeah. I probably have way too much. Okay, so let's pick up our canvas and flip it on.
I'm not listening.
And I'm just gonna let it sit for a minute.
Why?
Because the paint needs some time to come down. I've also seen some people poke a hole in the bottom of their cup.
How do I do this?
So put your hand on top there and hold it tight, and hold the bottom tight, and just turn it. There you go. And now you can set it on top of your cups. And like I said, this is probably going to be way too much on mine, but it'll be worth it. Because then you have more ability to pour off the parts you don't like as much and keep the parts you do. So move your paints aside.
The cups look really cool.
Yeah, they really do. I've had a lot of people wonder if there's anything cool you can do with the cups afterwards. Haven't found anything yet because they're just kind of plastic cups. But okay, so now it's probably given enough time. We can go ahead and I would just hold one side of your canvas because sometimes a suction, actually most of the time a suction forms.
Okay.
So you want to hold the canvas so it doesn't fly up, and then you can just, oops, hold it and just pull your cup up. And then I'm tapping mine on the sides so that all the drips can go onto. Oh, I love the sparkles. I've never used that before in a pour.
Wow, this is a lot lighter than I thought it was going to be. I don't know why.
Well, and as you roll it around, some of the colors might come up. Kind of depends on how heavy the paints are. And I don't know which ones are more dense.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. Can I see the inside a little bit better? Oh yeah, so yours has more gray inside. You must have used more of the dark gray. I used all of mine, but... And look, you can see cells forming inside already on the edges.
Oh yeah.
So there's cells on top of here, and we'll do this because it's starting to fall already. And I've actually just gotten this creme brulee torch, and I'm going to try it out. So what this does is it heats up the silicone, brings it to the top, and it also pops any of the little air bubbles. There's a bunch of little ones right here. So I'm going to try that.
I'm gonna make it some dessert.
Yeah, dessert.
Should I,
And you don't want to hold it in one place too long because you don't want it to burn your paint.
should I tip this?
Yep, you can go ahead and start whenever you want. Do you want gloves or anything, or are you good how you are?
Good.
Okay. So just be aware of where the edge of the table is, and you can start tipping it and just slowly let it roll to different edges, and you can let it start to go off the edge. And what you'll want to do is probably guide along the edge when it starts to roll, kind of guide it along like that. I'm gonna get some gloves. Sometimes I choose to do it without gloves, sometimes I do it with. There's just a lot more cleanup if you don't use them. And there's a roll of paper towel over by you if you need it. And there's also some along here coming off. You might want to guide it. So basically it just helps if you sort of show it where to go. I really like this. So do you see what I'm doing? Whoops. Well, it's going really fast. I have more paint, so it's kind of getting to the edges quicker.
So you're swiping on the side more?
Yep, but then you want to let it roll off the side because you don't want it to look like you've scraped your fingers along it either.
This is sweet.
And then once you've gotten it to the point where you think you like it, you can set it down. But you do want to make sure you pour off enough, because if you don't pour off any of your paint, if you just let it sit on top, the canvas can warp and it gets all like wavy because the paint is too heavy and it's too wet. So look, mine ended up being a lot more purple. Just making sure that all of my corners have paint on them. And kind of get some up off the table and tap the edges if you need to. And I see some, a couple of like chunkier pieces on the canvas, and I'm going to get it off so that it doesn't dry in there.
Yours or mine?
What'd you say?
Yours or mine?
Mine.
Okay.
You could look on yours to see if you have any. Sometimes the Floetrol has those chunkier pieces, or if we didn't mix the paint as much on some of them. Here's an extra one in case you need it. So I tend to use either a paper clip, or I have like this broken fork that you can use to scoop out if you get some little chunks. Actually, this looks like a dried piece of paint. It must have come off of the cap of one of the paint containers. And then what I do is while it's drying, I just continue to come around the edge and swipe my finger along the underneath, like this part, because as it drips, it kind of curls under there. And
Just did a lot of it.
yeah.
One step
Oh yeah,
ahead,
that's looking really pretty. I'm gonna go back with my torch so I can see if I can bring any more up to the surface. I really like this dark. I wish that there was more of that coming up.
Trying to decide if I want to do the torch or not.
You can watch mine and see if you like the way it looks when I do it. It's not bringing up a lot of mine. So maybe everything that needed to has kind of come up. Though you can see there's more dark over here too.
Mm-hmm.
And then as it dries, it'll change a little bit from what it looks like now. You'll kind of see it moving around a little bit more.
This would be cool for nail polish.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if you could make it just be on the nails. People do a lot of water marbling that's similar.
Oh,
I haven't ever been able to make that work for myself, but I might just not be doing it right. Look, that looks really cool.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of weavy. Would you like to try the torch, or do you want to leave it?
I'll try a little bit. But I gotta wait till I clean my hands off more. You just push this?
Yep, and you hold it. And you don't want to hold it straight down and don't keep it on one area for too long. So I kind of hold it at a little bit of an angle and move it around on the areas that I want to bring up cells.
Okay.
And they'll be really little cells.
Whoa.
Yeah.
There's a lot that just came out right over there.
Yeah, it could be air bubbles that were trapped in there. See, I like that yours has a little bit more gray.
Yeah, me too.
And it really looks like the sparkles kind of got everywhere, as opposed to just in lines. At least on mine. I do see some pockets where there's more.
Ooh, I think this pocket right here doesn't have any.
Oh
It's
yeah,
cool.
that's actually really neat.
I like that.
Can I see this? I really think that's all mine's gonna do. Mine's not really moving a lot anymore. And I think if the paint was a little thinner, it might move more. But look at this little area. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get the camera down and do some kind of close-up moving around. And then we'll let the painting sit for a little while and then come back to them to see if they've moved or changed at all.
You have a little bit of white right there, just a tiny
Oh,
bit.
thank you. Okay, so this one is mine. You can kind of see the sparkles a little bit. It's a little bit hard with the glare. You can kind of see the different areas. Really like this area here. Alright, let's go over to Mara's. Oh, it's looking really pretty. That's our dog. There's some really really cool cells down here with white around, or the light gray around them. That's looking very cool. And here's the area she was saying had no sparkles. Just kind of going all along in there, the light gray. Wow, they're looking really neat. So we're going to go back to the tripod and let them sit for a minute and then show you what they look like after they've sat for a little bit. Alright, so it looks like they haven't moved much at all. The paint was a little bit thicker than I've seen some people do, so that's probably part of it. But I'm really liking how it looks. What do you think, Mara?
Yeah, I like both of them a lot.
Yeah. Alright, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and share with your friends, especially if they're trying to learn how to do paint pouring. And thank you, Mara, for joining me and learning how to do this.
Thanks for letting me.